turn on our mics. And here we are. Good evening, everyone. We are now
Hel-
on Exalted Scarfcast number 49, the Ringsploitation.
yes. Hello. Help. Kill me.
Because
God.
it really does feel like a recreation of the blaxploitation genre from like that one time in movie history.
Oh yeah. It definitely feels like right now we're in the era of, well, I don't know what to exactly describe it because oh god, Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings stuff has just been crazy.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't understand what blaxploitation is, just look it up or take a film history class, and you'll be regaled with tales of Count Blackula or Blackenstein.
Yeah.
just eh, any movie that was traditionally about a white character is now a black character.
Mm-hmm. It's but besides that, I guess we're gonna talk about Lord of the Rings and everything about it, which has been, uh, God, it's been hell and half. Um, so
Yeah, I mean, actually, have you
yeah,
watched the trailer for it?
I saw the trailer. Look, let me put it this way, and I said this on my Twitter about it. If you told me it was Dungeons and Dragons, the TV show, I would believe it.
Yeah. Better yet,
It's
oh yeah, Shaft too. Shaft was also a thing in the black exploitation genre. But you know what? Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, I am going to look up Dungeons and Dragons, the movie.
mm-hmm.
And remember, it's like one of the big complaints about the Lord of the Rings Amazon series is that it's got it just has a Tolkien black elf, a little Tolkien black elf. Let's see, Dungeons and Dragons movie, and let's see. Actually, I should probably save my. Ooh, here we are now. Yeah, yeah. Also, I should probably share my screen a bit with you so you could see what I'm doing in real time. But
Mm-hmm. That'd be nice.
yeah.
Uh,
So,
but
this was a movie that was actually, let's take off the overlay so the audience can now see. Yeah, get away, Brave. So, yeah, this was in a movie that was in what? When did Dungeons and Dragons movie release?
I think it was 96,
Yeah,
97.
90s movie. And gee, I wonder what her skin tone is. This elf right here.
Look, let me put it this way. I didn't mind it so much there because honestly, it was like,
It was a B movie. It was just like uh
to be fair, at the time I didn't know Dungeons and Dragons. Um, I thought of like the DMO was just made up shit.
yeah, it was just one of those things. And you know what? I didn't really mind the weirdness so much in the Dungeons and Dragons movie because, well, if you look at a certain point of view, you could just see it as this was the this was the equivalent of new players trying to get into the game but not quite getting into the setting.
You could see it like that, yeah. But even then, like
Yeah, that's why all the characters talk like just normal city hipster kind of people.
honestly, if the entire movie was actually people just playing the game, and the events of the movie was just us seeing like what was happening
Oh, you mean like
in
the gamers?
Yeah, a bit like that. Like we actually have people playing, and maybe they're played by the actual actors. You know, I think that would have actually been a fun meta thing with the movie, but clearly we were way too ahead of. Clearly, that would have been way too ahead of its time.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'm mainly showing this just to show that yeah, the whole like diversity thing in the medieval European fantasy setting that was being hailed as so progressive. That was already preceded, guys. It was already done. It was done in a fairly B style movie.
Well, you can find it like there was a lot of colorblind casting. Like even then, the MCU technically also did it. Heimdall is
Oh,
black in the Thor movie.
MCU was colorblind like crazy. How many characters were like race swapped in that universe?
No, but I'm just saying in general, you know, like I honestly don't see. Let me put it this way: if you decide to colorblind your cast, I find that I'm okay with that. It's not a huge deal as long as you're acknowledging, yeah, we're just colorblinding it. It's fine. We just want to do that just to allow more actors chances, blah blah blah, and not make it a bigger deal. Besides that, yeah, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I
and I've
think
been
that would actually.
yeah,
That's.
and
I
I've
think
been
that.
looking into this for like well, looking into well, if you wanted to like put black people in a fantasy setting, I've been looking into like black folk tales or black uh mythology or Afrocentric mythology. And I was thinking it's like you could have just done that if you wanted like full on diverse casting in a medieval fantasy setting. But then again, Hollywood kind of doesn't want to do that because I think the only thing they could think of in terms of medieval fantasy is a European style setting. Even though, like, historically, the it's like countries in Africa have had their own like empires, castles, knights, and everything. They even have their own fairies.
Yeah, yeah, and there's also a lot of. There are some well-known like like African centered mythologies I know about Nancy.
Yo, yeah.
So you could do a lot actually.
In fact, when we were playing Mutants and Masterminds, you made a Spider-Man character that was called Anansi.
Yeah, Nancy the Gold Spider. Um, I decided to instead of yeah, and I played a bit with his powers by instead of spinning like webs, he spins illusions
In fact, very
type idea.
yeah, very. I'm going to look up African mythology and see what images I can pick up from here.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I'll take down the overlay. So already we're getting like things like mages and everything that look very distinct. We've got warriors and the like. We've got like freaking monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, how much better would it be if we just had like a setting comprised of all of this stuff instead of
That
just
would be
a
fun.
blackwash European setting?
I would love that.
I mean, holy shit, look at this. These are like superheroes at this rate.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think that's your Anansi right there. you, there's so
Yeah.
much you could do with this stuff, and that's what I've always been saying. We've explored the European and even like the Asian fantasy settings well enough that I think it's about time that we just go south of the equator and just look into what we can do with some of the stuff we've seen there. In fact, hold on, let me grab a few things from, because I actually do have a folder of some of the stuff I've saved. Where was it? Here we are. All right, taking down the overlay, and yeah, here's some of the stuff that I've saved. I mean, examples of castles, different kinds of like fantasy creatures. Freaking a giraffe centaur. That's like a combination of a centaur and a giant. Various
Yeah.
temple stuff like that. Oh yeah, a grove back. This is what they call a Groot slang, by the way, guys. It is the African version of a dragon. It's basically an elephant that has like very lizard and dragon-like qualities. And I forgot if it breathes fire. Oh yeah, this is a Tokoloshi, and it's technically undead because it was made by a dead body that was boiled to a point where boiled in such a way that causes it to shrink in size. And it's like their version of a goblin. Yeah, you can have cities that look like that, mages, castles that look like that. Yeah, and they have their own distinct style of armor and weaponry. Various masks. Oh yeah, the freaking were hyenas.
Oh yeah.
That also features a lot in African mythology because it's like that's just some of the things that hyenas seem to freak them out, especially like if you combine a hyena with a hornet's nest.
Like I said, there's a lot of interesting stuff that you could do with African mythology that you can do.
Yeah,
Honestly, I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked that they didn't try to adapt like the Lion King play into like its own fantasy mythology. Because with how the costumes are done in that one,
yeah. Look at this. This is like what your Afrocentric equivalent of what a knight would be.
that's cool.
This dude's running on top of a rhino. In fact, I'm gonna, in fact, overlay on. Just gonna see if I could find that one thing. I think somewhere on here I found like a picture that showed like the equivalent of like African armor versus European armor. It was somewhere in here, I think. I can't see it, but yeah, but that's the kind of missed opportunity we're seeing right now. Meanwhile, it's like what we end up with is Lord of the Rings, but this time it's like all of your fantasy characters are now like race swapped. Even though it's like there's actually some equivalent of Afrocentric equivalent of what these fantasy characters could be. It's like this thing. It's called an abattoir. They're small people.
Ebatwa.
They're small people who are small enough to ride on ants. I mean, just imagine if you just had this as your equivalent of what a hobbit or a dwarf would be. In fact, uh, in fact, you could probably like scale it up a little bit and like take a few liberties here and actually use them as literal dwarves and basically have their cultures be about like digging and mining where all of their buildings are just underground like structures and they're well known for using insects for mounts. I mean that could be like the way you had to have this style of like fantasy race more distinct from the European style. In fact, I'm gonna look around instead of like having midget Queen Latifah over there. In fact,
Yeah.
that we might have seen in the trailer or so.
There there's that. the the big problem, I'll say this with the trailer as of now, and I'm not because here's my thing with this. So, do you know like the legal issues this series is under?
Oh, what's that?
All right. So, they can only adapt stuff from Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
What?
Yes.
So technically, they can't even adapt the Silmarillion.
We're unfinished tales.
Uh,
They are now trying to adapt what is essentially poem. And they're not going to try and adapt The Lord of the Rings for one reason. They don't want the comparison.
so
For
basically, they're trying to make their own extended style universe to avoid like comparisons to the Peter Jackson films.
yeah, because look, the Peter Jackson films right now they're 20 years old, you know? They're they're not new movies anymore. But to say that they're like dated, no, like a lot of people still love those films and they haven't really aged badly in such a way where you can be like we can fix that.
Yeah. By the way, this was the picture I was looking for. It's like African warrior versus European warrior.
Yeah, like, you know, there's no real reason to fix uh to fix it. And so it becomes this whole thing of Amazon spent way too much money on the wrong thing.
Yeah. Now they
They
gotta
look
do something with it.
at best, you know?
At this rate, I don't take it as the official canon of Lord of the Rings. I just see it as just the Amazon of the Rings, effectively.
Yeah.
And I think what they were, I mean, some theories abound uh, were about how they wanted to have, were they were trying to cash in on the Game of Thrones craze and have their own style of universe, where it's like it has a similar level of intrigue. That's why they wanted to have it take place during like during the forging of the rings, where all the rings, where it's about the political intrigues of the different rings of power.
Yeah. Like, anyway, besides that, I can't even tell. Okay, and here's the other thing about the biggest problem with the trailer. Can you name me any character from that fucking trailer?
Uh, I think Galadriel was supposed to be in there.
All
Although
right, but you
I keep mixing her up with Eowyn because I am not used to seeing Galadriel in armor.
okay? Can you? Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing. Do you even know the story of the series from the trailer?
Oh no, not at all.
Like, what are they fighting? Why are they? Who? What is the point?
Yeah, it's like that. I know the teaser trailer, but that teaser trailer just told us nothing.
Like, okay, like who? What? What is the point? Why is anything important?
Yeah, it's just what's going on.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point problem. Because let me tell you this: when I saw the first Lord of the Rings trailer like decades ago, it told me everything. There's a hobbit. His name is Frodo. He finds the ring. He has to destroy ring. And if off from there.
I'm just imagining like if they really tried to make Frodo black, it'd be like, shit, man, I gotta get this bling right back to the Mile High Club at Mount Doom.
Uh, his name is Frodo now.
Oh yeah, and they have halflings in this series. They're just called half foots.
I hate that.
It's it's like
They're
what?
they're half-foots.
Not to mention, wasn't halfling a derogatory term for hobbits?
Something like that. It's terrible. Either way, it's a terrible name. You know?
Yeah, it's just what the hell is all this? And I like how the only real complaint I've ever heard of the dwarf queen was that she doesn't have a beard. I'm like, all right.
Hey, I agree. We've been hearing jokes about female dwarfs with beards for decades. Amazon, you cowards. You motherfucking cowards. You're all about diversity. But when the chance to show a female with a beard, you just cowered out. You don't even try. How dare you, Amazon? You talk a big game, but I'm saying right now, the fact that you did this and didn't even think maybe the first female dwarf we show off has a beard. Well, okay, I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't even realize she was a dwarf when I saw the picture. I actually thought she was a regular human.
Maybe this is the real queen of the dwarves.
Maybe you're right. Maybe she is the real queen. But either way, we can't agree that Amazon are cowards. They are a sniveling coward, and I am willing to take the fight to them mano a mano to debate the worthiness of dwarves having beards.
But yeah, like I said, it's like we we practically have our own dwarf equivalent in African mythology. They're called abatwas.
Well,
In fact, I think I had a whole like I was like making a list of like different elf dwarf orc equivalents of like different mythology areas. I think. Oh yeah, there. I think in African mythology they have like a thing called an Aziza, which is their version of a fairy. I mean, you could have that as your equivalent of an elf. Oh, god damn it. This might take some like searching. Ah, here we are. Yeah, just one of these. All right. Just just this. You could have this as one of your fairy creatures or one of your elves. I mean, it looks pretty good. It has that ethereal elven beauty to it.
yeah.
I mean, you've found like the African equivalent of a vampire, which oh god damn it, I hate when this thing comes up on my phone, which is called an adzi.
An Adzi? What?
Yeah, that's another weird thing. Let's see. It's basically I've seen it portrayed in multiple ways. As I get like some versions just like hang from branches, kind of like this guy right here. Or oh, no, I didn't want to download that. But open in another tab. Kind of well, doesn't increase them much. There are like other versions where apparently he can just turn into a fly. Sometimes a firefly, which adds that eerie, glowing yellow green effect. I'm getting a weird sound here. And you can even like transform into a swarm of flies. It's basically, yeah, flies are like their version of bats. So you can have something like that. Just imagine if Lady Demetrescu was or one of Lady Demetrescu's like daughters was just a black dude. That's basically what an Adzi is. You still there? Oh shit. I think. Hold on, I'm gonna back out of. One sec. Uh, yeah, technical difficulties on Discord here. I am going to back out and come back in from Discord. Uh, what is going on? Alright. I may have to. Okay, can you hear me, Dave? That's bad, because I can't hear you. Oh shit. Dave, you may have to actually go into the chat. Because I think another thing ended up going wrong on my PC. Oh shit, I just thought of something. What if this is messing with our stream? Hello? Well, yeah. Yeah, this is. I don't know what happened to my PC. Yeah, looks like we're gonna have to do a part two later, guys. Yeah, yeah, I notice. So, basically, I'll wrap this up for now, and we'll get deeper into the whole Lord of the Rings thing. Because, I mean, and I'm sure Dave will have more to elaborate on later. But yeah, it's like this is. In fact, here's why I pulled this up because it's like in your medieval fantasy you could have the knight on the right, but in your African fantasy you could have this guy on the left. And for some reason Hollywood just doesn't see this, or no one ever sees this because it's like nobody. Whenever people think of an African warrior, they just think of okay, a guy with a loincloth chucking spears. They just think of like someone like Shaka Zulu or something. But it doesn't always have to be that way. You could have something like that. I mean, you can have something like this and have it look cool. I mean, just have someone dressed as this fighting like their own version of orcs through the savannah. doesn't even have to be in a jungle. There's like multiple biomes in that continent. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, for some reason they decide to race swap things. And to me, that's almost saying, and a level that's just saying, me and my race aren't good enough unless we start like dressing up and acting like white guys. That's basically what they've told us. But yeah, that's gonna be it for now. I'll see if I could do a follow up to this maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Good night, guys.